Hello everyone, this is Time Warner Fable doing a 3 for McDoofer. What I want to discuss is men going their own way and the Sexodus. And also, for the third thing, I want to go over modern day feminism, or should I put this, radical feminism. Okay, all three groups I'm going to assume are a very small population. The Sexodus and the men going their own way are going to be, I'm going to hypothesize that these are a small percentage of men in America. And radical feminists are going to be a small percentage of women in America. And from empirical observation, I want to say a small percentage of this small percentage of the three groups are going to be 4 to 6 year university students, because with people of these groups are going to be at universities and they're going to be immersed in this culture of highly political groups at their university campus who, they learn from the class about this issue, they feel strongly about the issue, and they form these groups and they make these YouTube videos. They're reading these internet articles to, justify this belief, and eventually they become overzealous, which I think, solution to that would be to either A, go to your instructor, or B, ask around, talk to your friends, talk to your parents, talk to your family members, because your family members, it's going to be a range, range of opinions and perspectives. Either, you could have a cousin who's, moderate, you could have an uncle who's a constitutionalist, you could have an aunt who's focused on the political process and economics. So, well, let's get started before I go rambling on. So, men going their own way. Basically, men avoiding women because of a small group that's attacking masculinity. The hell was masculinity supposed to be to you? Ask yourself, what is masculinity? Is it a subculture where you're supposed to be this alpha male with patriarchal elements? Or is it masculinity in the sense you're supposed to progress yourself in, what's perceived as male norms for what you're assigned in America as the male gender? As a male myself, I'm practical, stoic, as in stoicism. If I got a flat tire and I pull off to the side of the road, I'm not going to panic. Be like, hey, I got the tools, I can change a tire. That's stoicism. I'm not going to go overly emotional over a flat tire, but I'm not going to be under emotional at all. It's a balance of emotion and reason. So there's nothing wrong with that. Another example of stoicism would be, well, if I walked out my door right now and saw a naked woman in my common area, I'd be like, the fuck are you doing? I mean, it's just anatomy. I took anatomy and physiology in college. It's just anatomy. You don't have to apply some connotation of sexuality to that. But I'm not always gonna say I'm not a 4-year university student that went in after high school, but that would be a stereotype. But it's a culture thing. Culture rubs off on people, you know. So men going their own way. I'm assuming men early, mid, and late 20s. They experience or interact with these women. Not all women, just a small percentage of women who stereotype males or use statistics against males, who blame rape culture against males. And it's like you're putting every woman in America in some label. Is it cathartic to attack females in such a manner? It doesn't make sense, because not every female is like this. If you experience this in, let's say, somewhere, maybe Northern California or Lower California, you know, regionally, you're gonna have different cultures. So the culture of the genders is going to be different. I mean, I live in a state on the coast. I go to college myself, but not once have I met a radical feminist, and I'm taking sociology right now. And my sociology instructor, she's a feminist, but she's not a radical feminist. She believes that true feminism, there's no anti-male agenda that's contradictory to feminism, because you want equal rights for the male and the female. There's no need for patriarchy, there's no need for matriarchy. So men going their own way and the Sexodus doesn't make sense. You're giving up on a gender. How about you don't give up on human beings? Because when the radical feminists, or men going over their, or men going their own way, excuse me, sorry about that. I'm using Linux right now, and when I'm AFK, it likes to lock me out. But yeah, men going their own way in Sexodus, it doesn't make sense. Because not every female is the same way. Not every female believes in attacking the male gender. And it's human cowardice to believe that, you know, every female is going to do something bad to you, do something immoral to you. Not all women are the same. These are from empirical observations. I've known good women, I've known good men. It's not gender, it's culture. It's how people are brought up. You know, nature versus nurture. Simple sociology. Just open up a sociology textbook. So these groups, like Men Going Their Own Way, the Sexodus group, the radical feminists, all I can conclude is it's gender catharsis. It's like you find pleasure in attacking the opposite gender, and it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Let me give you an example. I've walked out of my door with nothing on but gym shorts and underwear. And I saw one of my neighbor's friends, she was changing. You know, she was in her underwear. Whatever, dude. She was changing. Do I care? No. I mean, I could see a guy in his underwear in my common area. Would I freak out? No. You know why? Because I'm being practical. Because skin is skin. Doesn't matter any gender. Depends on culture. So you see an ignorant dude, you know, probably goes to bars, probably parties a lot, doesn't want to get involved in anything, you know, critical, analytical, doesn't want to go to school, just wants to enjoy life, and he's in his early 20s. He sees a girl in her underwear in his apartment. Maybe he'll go, oh, damn girl. Stupid shit like that. You know. And it's not an age thing. If I was 21, I saw her in her underwear, whatever. You know, she's changing. We both have skin. Great. Whatever. But giving up on women, that's just foolish. So a few women may have hurt you, or you're afraid of getting a divorce. It's cowardice. But it makes sense. I can have empathy with that. Because if I were to go through divorce, I might lose a lot. But how likely is your divorce? Why would you go through divorce? I mean, there's always therapy you can go through. Fix issues. There's always redeeming yourself or changing yourself. And the radical feminists, true feminists want to call you pseudo-feminists, fake feminists. Because when you have an anti-male agenda, when you want to use statistics against the males, or you want to blame rape culture on the male, you're going to cause feminists to hate you. It's not something I want. When you're anti-male, or you have an anti-male agenda, or like Jenny M, you want to create a third gender based on patriarchy, that's weaker than males who follow a patriarchal manhood subculture, then it's not going to help. It's actually harmful. Because when you try to drive a wedge between the genders, it might spread and cause a separation of genders. But it's unlikely, since a small percentage of women, hypothesizing that a small percentage of women are radical feminists, a small percentage of men are MGTOW, MGTOW, or a third percentage of men are going on the Sexodus. Those are hardly recognized by sociologists. Sociologists are likely they're laughing at you, because what they think is someone who's on Reddit or YouTube or Facebook complaining how the opposite gender wronged you. I would rather see a radical feminist write complaints to, an inspector general, if that exists in corporations, that she's not getting paid the same as someone who's doing the same job. That sounds like feminism to me. Let me read you something. Do-ba-do-do. Do-ba-do-do. Ow. Do-do-do-do. Ow. Do-do-do-do. Ow. This was something I posted earlier. It was a response to the Sexodus. An earlier response. There's grammatical errors, so bear with me. Is the Sexodus recognized by sociological researchers? I hypothesize that only a small percentage of young men are the hedonistic patriarchal alphas, or moral, respectful men are a part of this Sexodus. It isn't a generation of men, or else it would be discussed at the universities. I hypothesize that a small percentage of women are radical feminists, and through their actions have made both immoral and moral men, a small percentage of them, hypersensitive to an extreme about women, since radical feminists have made the focus of sexual harassment and rape culture of the fault of men. On the fault of men. This includes the monogamous man. Small percentage of all monogamous men. Single monogamous men. That don't sleep around are moral and ethical. The confusion of identifying whether or not the woman he interacts with will be offended or use the justice system against him. But the Sexodus most likely consists of a small percentage of men and women involved. I base this on personal and empirical observation. I live in an area where the small percentage that is a Sexodus does not reside. I know men that can respectfully talk to women as a person to another person. Consider the human being who can talk to a human being like they're a human being. They're not focused on gender stereotypes or gender statistics. It's like if I was 24 and I tried having a conversation with, a radical feminist, and she claims, oh, you're 24, you're gonna rape me. Which I'm sure a radical feminist wouldn't say that. Whatever. I have not met many men that follow a masculine subculture that has elements of patriarchy, that being an alpha is what's important, or picking up the quote-unquote bitch and having sex with her. I have met respectful and ethical men. I mean, they don't have to be humanists or any kind of religion. They can understand that it's great to be a good person. To people, a moral and respectful person. And they're going to know that they aren't going to interact with the overzealous, because they're just going to pull arguments out of their top hat, and it's just a perpetual loop of arguments. Where are these alpha males that take the player title? Are they a percentage of four-year university students? I find it ironic that the small percentage of women that are radical feminists, just a small percentage of radical feminists, get off my back, are infuriated that the small percentage of men have given up on women. They indeed have not given up on women. They've given up on the women in that area. So I'm hypothesizing that men that go their own way, or the Sexodus, and the radical feminists, it's like a spider web. This has to be regional, because I have not come across someone who's part of the Sexodus, someone who's part of men that go their own way, and I have not met a radical feminist. They've given up the women in that area. They know that if they move to a different region of America, they'll eventually find a mate to which they can connect. It's not a gender thing. It's a human being thing. It's a culture thing. It's a personality thing. Nothing to do with gender. When you make it about gender, you just end up hurting people. You make people afraid of you. This goes for men that go their own way. This goes for radical feminists. Because radical feminists, it's like you're the cause for men who go their own way. And I'm pretty sure true feminists are bloody pissed at you. Because you could have a respectful and ethical guy, and then he reads what the radical feminists are doing. Maybe he's ill-informed. It takes radical feminism for truth. And suddenly does not want to associate with females. But survival of the fittest, I guess. Men that go their own way. They might be viewed as strong men, or cowards who haven't grasped the fact that it's not about gender. It's about who someone is. There's one more thing I want to go over, and I'll end the video. Damn it. Jenny, a self-proclaimed feminist, ironically follows the stigma of the subculture of masculinity that contains elements of patriarchy by calling men who respect both genders and support equal rights for women manginas. Third gender. Implying respectful and ethical men are the weak gender. A feminist that believes in a culture of patriarchy? What? Take it for what you will. I mean, it's probably stupid that I wrote this. Let's call this Type B Feminism, which contains feminists with an anti-male agenda. Avoid the Type B feminists. You cannot argue with the overzealous. But it is pretty hard to argue with, even with evidence. Type B feminists that's made up, don't take it for don't take it for fact at all. But radical feminists, not recognized in sociology. Well, they might be recognized as some very small group that causes trouble for true feminists. Even, any sociology professor will tell me any male can be a feminist. Thank you for watching.